All right. No. Yeah, that's a different personality. We got to like get the scope going over here. So today, oh, that's beautiful, Ray. Thank you. The view from the mountaintop. Oh, we all have this, we love mountains. I just love mountains. And one of the most important thing about a mountain is that we see a different point of view. This is always fun. So I'll begin with Dr. Ernest Holmes. He says, the light he throws on others is generated in his own soul, and he sees them as he chooses to see them. Isn't that interesting? The light he throws on others is generated in his own soul, and he chooses how to see them. Oh my goodness, it's all about perceptions. And we say that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. You know what? I think I can just stop there. You know, isn't that enough? That's it. That's all it truly is. That's just what life is about. This is where we begin. This is where we move. This is where we go through. We need nothing more than just to understand that, one, the perception begins in us, and two, when we change the way we think, the things around us change. I think I had a statement that I put out a couple of months ago, or a month ago, that said, when my perception changes, the universe shifts in accommodation. Yes, it's the same thing. It's all about this. So I have a little story today, a couple of stories, and it's about three different mountains that I absolutely love. One of them is the mountain behind my house in Phoenix, Arizona. It was one of those that you could go up and climb very easily. Of course, summertime, you grabbed one of these sticks to go with you, just in case there was a rattlesnake on the way. But it was fantastic. And what I loved about it is that even if I only went halfway up, when I looked back down into the valley, everything looked so different from that angle. Everything was tiny. Everything was wide. So that perspective of seeing things that when I'm in them, looking at them from this angle seems so big, and yet when you look at them from this angle, they become softer, they become more gentle. And then also my scope of view is so much broader. So as opposed to just being able to see this in front of me, I get to see the whole layout, and gives a perspective and an overall idea of all of the parts that it takes to bring that little village together, to bring that town, that area, whatever it is, the whole city, the island. You know, when we go up to Mauna Kea and you look down, wow, you realize also the magnitude of the mountain, but you also realize how much the intricate little pieces take to come together to form this beautiful whole. So that's one of the mountains I really love, that one. I miss it a little because it was so accessible to me, and when I really felt like I needed to just get out and walk, because unfortunately Phoenix, as most of us know, does not have a lot of Goldilocks time. You know, it's like either 116 degrees or 50. Now, 50 might not be a great deal for most people that come from Alaska, but in Phoenix, 50 is freaking freezing. And you know, when you get to around 85, you're like, oh, let me get a sweater, you know. So what was really nice about this mountain is it was close enough. I could just walk out my back door straight up it at any time when the weather was nice. So that was absolutely brilliant. But now there's another mountain that I loved, and that was the mountain I got to ski down. It was one of my favorite mountains called Oran. It's in the south of France. It's a beautiful, beautiful ski village. And it was about an hour and a half from where I was living in Monte Carlo. So we would get up in the morning really early and just ride up there. We'd be in time to have breakfast before we'd get to the ski slopes. And this little town, it was right at the bottom of the one piste, at the one ski slope, the one that you could ski into, your last run of the day, straight into the town. Little shops and everything. And there was this one beautiful little patisserie, a little coffee shop. And we would go there every single time we visited. We'd go in and meet up there. There was a father's son. It appeared to be a father's son, an older gentleman, a younger gentleman that worked the shop. They were absolutely fantastic. Absolutely wonderful, just giving and generous in their whole demeanor and how they were and welcoming. And we'd run in and get our pain au chocolat, nice and hot, a big old cafe latte, and we'd move, oh, cafe au lait, sorry, we're in France. Move on. But we were right on the border of Italy, so it might have been a cafe latte, I don't know. And we would do this. So this one time, we decided to go up and stay overnight, and so that we'd go spend more time. And so we'd gotten our stuff the one day, and the gentlemen they were all wonderful. And then we walk in the next morning, and it was like day and night. The younger gentleman was quite obnoxious, to say the least. And I'm like, all right, so what the heck is going on here? And of course, in our natural tone, it becomes personal. It's like, hey, we've been here before, we're nice, what are you doing? You know, you take it all personally. And it's like, well, so we got our cafe, we got our pain au chocolat and our cafe au lait. We went outside and sat down, and we're talking about it, and we're like, what's up with this? You know, and we got a little bristly and a little peed off about it. And so one of the things I remember reading here is to remember that most of our stress comes from the way we respond, not the way life is. Adjust your attitude, and most of that stress will be gone. So we were starting our day in a stressed out manner because we'd allowed this experience to put us in a different place. Well, of course, we were used to the way it was, and now something different showed up. We didn't like it so much. So we really want to remember that so much of the time when this is happening, that we're just allowing one more time for it to do its work to us, as opposed to choosing the attitude we want. Anyway, so we've finished up with our coffee and croissants, and we went off to the ski lift. We got on the ski lift, and as we're going up the ski lift, I look down and I can see the little coffee shop. And out back of the coffee shop is sitting the old man in a wheelchair with a blanket wrapped around him. And I nudged my friend and I was like, now we know. Now we know why the young man was having such a bad day. Not only probably did he feel stressed out because he was doing it all alone, but the man, his father, was sitting out back, obviously ailing in some form. Oh, that was a wake-up call. Because we never know, do we? We never really know what's going on when somebody comes at you out of the norm. We never really know why, and we immediately make up our own story. We immediately take it personally. It's about us. We never once stop for 1 second and go, I wonder if I could have been kinder in that moment because I didn't know. So I reacted. And we often speak about the difference between reacting and responding. But the biggest lesson here is just to realize that, first of all, we can open ourselves up to maybe immediately saying, I wonder what's happening. Not immediately go, well, really? You're being a total today, and now you're messing up my day by your attitude. Has anybody ever done that or felt that? I think so, right? It happens. We immediately take it personally, and Don Miguel Ruiz, of course, in the 4 agreements, one of the biggest things he says, one of the 4 agreements is don't take it personally. And it's very difficult because we're involved in our lives. We love being in our lives. We want to feel it. We want to get in there. We love feeling the passion. But what we don't do is we don't breathe at that moment just to listen to what might be going on the other side, because it's never about us. He says, nothing other people do is because of you. It is always because of themselves. Now, we can take that in many ways. It can be taken as themselves because that's in their nature, or themselves because that's a situation that they're working through. Either way, does it matter? It doesn't. The bottom line is it's not about us. You know, we even say that, you know, what somebody else is acting out and accusing us of is theirs. They are projecting either their insecurity or their pain or whatever it is onto you, because in actuality, that's not a bad thing, because that reflection shows them back to themselves what it is that's painful in them. But it's hell on us because we take it. So we just don't have to do it. We don't have to buy into that whole idea. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be a victim to needless suffering. So isn't that easy? Just in one shift of a perception, we can stop a lot of our own suffering. We can stop taking it personally. We can see life from a different point of view, and we can see how that can shift our lives. When we do this too, we can raise our natural vibration so that our default setting is to kindness and understanding first. Now, I'm not talking about being insulted. I'm not talking about being a rug, a doormat for somebody else to work out their stuff on you. No, that's not acceptable. When somebody has issues of their own and they're working it out on you, that is not acceptable, and it's perfectly okay to address it with them. Because that is not okay. Because they'll never learn if you just let them walk on you all the time. However, before you decide that that is what's going on, you go to kindness first. Go to kindness, go to see, is there maybe something else that's going on that needs to be addressed before I go, hey, this is not happening again. Okay? So there's levels to this. But the most important thing is to look at our own perception first, to make sure we understand the situation fully, and to know that with kindness and love, we can pave the way first, even for the come to moment when we have to call somebody out on what they're doing for their own good and for ourselves. So why does this really matter that we do it? It matters because as we shift, so the world shifts around us. It's easy. That's how it works. As we change our vibration, it goes out into the world and changes it. And we do that in our teaching. Dr. Ernest Holmes says this: we should never forget the purpose of our teaching. It is not to become more healthy, more successful, more prosperous, more creative, and more loving. Our true purpose has been defined many ways depending on time and tradition. And one way is to say, we are here to manifest and live the kingdom on heaven on earth. Do you think you can live the kingdom of heaven on earth when you are feeling agitated about what somebody else is doing that you have just taken personally? Yeah, I don't think so. I think a moment of kindness, you're going to then see heaven right here on earth. And in that place, you can invite the person in as well. You can say, you know what? I love you, you're kind, you're generous, but what you're doing right now, or what you're saying right now, or what you've said over and over and over again, I might not know that this is the truth, but it's definitely hurting my feelings. But you can do it kindly, so we can all move forward from that place. That lovely space of kindness in your heart, that space of generosity, that space where we can see somebody in love, no matter what they might be doing. We go there first. Let that be the default. before you move into anything else that you do. And the biggest thing of all is when we do it, it changes our journey. It changes our experience. So the third mountain that I want to speak about is the mountain of the journey of my life. That's a good one. So we're so fascinated with mountains that we want to climb them. Even Kelly was telling us about a mountain that pulled her up until her bare feet were in the snow. You know, we love this whole thing about climbing mountains. Sometimes we think we want to conquer them. I don't think so. Because what we're conquering really is just a skewed perception all along the way. But I love this idea of us climbing the mountain of our journey. It's a pull. It's a calling to us. And first of all, we want to look at this. When we begin our journey, what do we take with us? What do we take? A big backpack, right? It's a big, big, big backpack. Have you ever seen a kid that goes off to camp for the first time? Have you ever been the mother that packed that backpack for the first time to camp for the kid? Oh, you can't even pick it up. It has everything in it and more. I mean, honestly, if you could put the kitchen sink in there, you'd be putting the kitchen sink in just so that they'd have clean water to drink. No. So we pack this backpack for the kid to go off to camp for the first time. And then they get there. They haul it into their little place where they're going to have their little cot where they're going to sleep. And a very, very kind camp assistant comes around and goes, me, and just pulls everything out going, you don't need this, 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 you don't need this. And suddenly the kid goes, wow, I can put this backpack on and take it with me. Isn't that fun? Well, you know, I have another term for that kind camp assistant. It's called a practitioner. If anybody's not had a practitioner session, I know a couple, 3 people got practitioner sessions last night. That's what a practitioner does. Just pulls it out. Go, you don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need that. Let's lighten your load so that you can move forward. Right? So suddenly the kid goes, wow, this is fantastic. And so when he goes home literally with that bag. And then the parent sees it and goes, the child is lighter. The child moves more easily. Because we must remember that when we start our journey up that mountain, we start with a backpack full of, I'm not even going to say the words, full of a lot of stuff. So the biggest thing of all is to remember that as we go up the mountainside, there's going to be opportunities for us to lay stuff down. There's going to be opportunities to ditch the shoes, if they were even on you to begin with. To ditch this situation, to forgive that, to drop this. And every time we go up to a different level, we see the world from a different point of view, a different perspective, a place that we're coming from that we might have never ever seen before. Because this could be the first time up this mountain. And let me tell you, even if you've been up the mountain 100 times, every time you look, you're going to see something different because the world is continually changing, as are you. And when we change the way we see things, what we see changes, right? So we go up the mountain, and we start dropping things along the way. Because you know, you can't go up past a certain point and breathe with the same weight that you started at the bottom. The air gets thinner. You need less so that you can accommodate your actual breath. That's just kind of the facts of life. But also emotionally, we gotta shed if we want to fly. We've got to shed if you want to climb that extra height. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to do a little experiential. So come with me, get silent. Just go into, if you want to close your eyes or just soften your gaze, just do this. And I want you to see yourself at the bottom of this magnificent mountain, your mountain, whatever your mountain looks like. And you have with you a backpack. It's not overly loaded. It's loaded, but not overly loaded. You can manage it pretty easily. And you start your walk. And you walk. See what you're seeing along the way. Feel the textures around you. Feel the air. And when you get to a certain height in this, just stop. Just stop and look along the way. Just look out. Look out into that vista. See what is below you. See what you can see from this point of view. See how it looks different from this angle. Feel the awe in what you can see. And keep going. And as you were climbing this mountain, you're moving through the day. You started early morning, you're moving through the day. You stop for a minute in the shade. And then you get back up and you move. And you just keep moving through this experience of moving up your mountain, moving up your mountain. And the sun starts to set. And as you come around the corner, you see an inn. This really interesting inn just on the side of the mountain. Comforting, wonderful. It's a little cooler now. So when you see the little wisp of smoke, you realize there's a beautiful fireplace inside. And you knock on the door, and this really very weathered, but weathered in a beautiful way, gentleman opens the door with a kind face and a big smile and welcomes you in. And you come into the inn, you relax, you enjoy it, and you get to spend the night. And then the following morning you wake. Of course, he serves a beautiful breakfast before you leave. And as you are about to walk out of the gate back onto the trail, he stops you. And he says, wouldn't you like to leave some of that stuff behind? And you look with a curiosity, and he goes, take a look in your backpack. And take some of that out and leave it right here. Leave it behind. It'll lighten your journey, and I promise I will keep it all for you. So if you choose on your way back down, you can pick it up if you like, or you can just leave it here. So I invite you to look into your backpack and unpack at least 2 or 3 things that you no longer need to take on your journey upward today. And you can zip up your backpack, fling it up onto your shoulder, for it's so much lighter now, and bid that innkeeper goodbye, and back onto that beautiful path up your mountain. You've got a smile on your face, you have the sun beaming on you, and life is good. So when you're ready, please bring yourself back into the room. Joseph Campbell says this: we must let go of the life we have planned so as to accept the one that is waiting for us. And if we trust in the divine, we can lean into that very expansively. So here is the challenge for this coming week. First of all, go to kindness first. Go find a mountain and walk it up. And if you can't do it in your mind, see things from a different point of view. Let that perception change just a touch. And allow yourself to let go of what doesn't serve you, so that the lightness of your load enables you to go higher, further and enjoy it more expansively. And I have an affirmation that I'd like you to repeat with me. It says, I am willing to see things differently. Let's say it together. I am willing to see things differently. Let's do it again. I am willing to see things differently. Place your hand on your heart, feel the warmth, and we'll say it one last time. I am willing to see things differently. Oh, yes. So in closing, let me read this from Dr. Ernest Holmes. Let us learn to see as God must, with a perfect vision. Let us seek the good and the true and believe in them with our whole heart, even though every man we meet is filled with suffering and limitation appears at all sides. By this practice, our soul will become illumined and will acquaint itself with God and be at peace. Let us learn to see God. Let us learn to see as God must, with a perfect vision. Thank you. All right. The view from the mountaintop. Let's take it to prayer. So in this moment right here, right now, as we breathe deeply in, we recognize the power and presence of the divine that is in, through, and as every single thing, every single expression, all things. It is the beginning and the end, the center and the circumference. There is nowhere where this magnificent creative intelligence is not. Oh, and I know that I am one with it. I know that each and every one of us here is one with this magnificent energy as it moves around us and through us and as us. In all that we see, in all that we think, in all that we feel, in all that we experience, for it is all that it is. It is the igniter of every idea, and it is the impulse behind every action. It is all that there is, and it is as us. As we open our hearts and minds to receive this magnificent energy, to allow it to move through us and out into the world, to show us a new way of seeing things, to show us a new path, to lighten our load when we decide to let go of what no longer serves us. It's saying, give it. Give it. Here, let me give you something new. Let me give you something different. Let me give you something that is inspiring and awe-filled. So I know for us as we walk our path this week that this is the choice we make. We choose to see things with a loving heart and a kind disposition, to just look a little deeper beyond our first personal instinct, to know that there might be something different going on. And I know that we do it. I know that we affirm that we can see things differently. So I call it good. I call it done. I know that Spirit has said, of course, my beloveds, of course. You've set your intentions, you've expressed your desires, and it is already done and done magnificently. So I just release this prayer into the universal action of law, knowing that it is done, and we can claim it together by saying, and so it is. Yeah. Thank you.